This is a Graupner MZ-24 transmitter. This video is just to show people how to bind and set up the receivers for analog servos. It's intended for somebody who just got the radio and needs to get started. Graupner does something pretty odd with the receivers that come out of the box. They set them up for digital servos. In the manual is a small paragraph talking about period. And this is pretty hard to find in that big manual when you first get the radio. If you don't set up your servos for analog, they're going to jitter. It's funny, in the manual they actually talking about the servo growling. I don't think any of my servos ever growled setting them up for digital, but they do jitter. And sometimes it's not obvious, so make sure if you have analog servos that you do set up the receiver for the period function. I'm going to go through that. I have a 16L receiver that I'm going to use for this example. Just so everybody knows, 16L does not mean 16 channel. With Graupner, everything has to be divided by 2. This is actually an 8-channel receiver. If you get their 24L receiver, for example, it would be a 12-channel receiver. Just like the MZ-24, it's a 12-channel transmitter. To do the bind, you're going to need power. The negative on this receiver is on the bottom. The signal lead is towards the top. When you apply power, I'm using a BEC from YEP just to get 5 volts to it. So I've plugged it into any channel, it doesn't matter. There's also a set button on here, and that's how we're going to bind the receiver. So if we go into the base function of the menu, we go to transmitter control, which is this guy right here. Get the receiver about 2 feet away from the transmitter. This is the case for any 2.4. If it's on top of the transmitter, very close to it, it's likely to not receive the signal because it's too close. So get it about 2 feet away, then hit the bind on off, the off button here, while holding in the set button on the receiver. There's a set button here. Hold that in, press the off button, and there you go. It will actually tell you that it's an 8-channel receiver, so it knows. And now your receiver is bound, and if you look, we now have a solid green LED to indicate that the receiver is bound. Next, for the analog, you would hit the back button here to get out of this menu. Hit it again, get back to the main menu. Hit the F button for function. Hit the telemetry button. Then hit setting and data view. Hit the double arrow button there. Now this is reading data from the receiver. Various settings. We're going to hit the E and T button, which is enter. Now if you look on this page, all the way in the bottom is the period function. It's defaulted to 10 milliseconds. This is the setting we have to change for analog servos. Out of the box it comes to 10. If you'll notice, there's an arrow key on the left side. You're going to use the increment key, INC, or the DEC to move it up and down. So we're going to hit increment. And see, it went down the reverse. We're going to keep hitting it. It's on center. And we're going to get it all the way down the period. Once it's on period, hit the set button. It highlights the 10 in white. Hit the increment button to increase the number. It's now set to 20. Hit the set button, and that stores it. Now the receiver is set up for analog servos. If you have a mixture of digital and analog servos, you're going to have to set the receiver to analog. It will not work on a channel by channel basis. So everything will have to be separate for analog. Then you can hit back and you're done. That's it.